How's it going? In this video I want to talk about function over form, in particular when it relates to doing a sewing repair. A co-worker asked me to repair this bag. This is a duffel bag that was given away by a cigarette manufacturer a few years ago. They did some kind of promotion where they gave away a bunch of stuff. And I guess it was a pretty decent duffel bag, and this guy's been using it for years. But here where there's this carry handle on the side, it's torn. It's kind of weird. The exterior and the interior fabric both tore in two different places on either side of the carry strap. So I want to kind of go through my thought process on how to decide how or if to repair something like this. And hopefully that'll be beneficial to you if you're considering doing something along these lines. If you have something like this that you want repaired, you really have to weigh whether or not it's worth it, because unfortunately you can just go buy another one for cheaper than you would have to pay me to repair it, especially to really do a proper repair. But if it's something that's of value to you, either sentimentally or just it's still useful and you want to keep it going, there's definitely ways you can do that. So the first thing I did was I looked at where the repair needs to be done, and I tried to determine if there was a panel or part of the bag that I could just replace in its entirety. So where this is damaged is this panel. You can see a color difference between this material and this material. I don't have any idea what this material is. It's some sort of nylon with some kind of coating on it. I would just have to replace it with whatever similar material I could find. I don't know how I would be able to match this, but in any event, I'd have to remove this entire panel. And to do that, I would have to remove and replace some of this piping, and you can see this piping is not in very good shape. So I'd end up having to replace all the piping in both sides of the bag. In just a couple of steps, we're basically making a brand new bag, and it's definitely not worth that. So instead of replacing this panel, I'm just going to make a patch, and I'm going to try to integrate it as much as possible with the bag so it's not completely obvious that it's a patch. But I'm not going to try to make it invisible or just replace an entire panel, because it's just not worth it. For the material for this repair, because I have some, I'm going to use this stuff called Slipknot. This is a kind of a rubberized fabric. I've used it on the bottom of backpacks a couple of times. It's a good material to provide additional friction or grip if you need it. I'm just going to use this material because of the materials I have on hand. This is the best match appearance-wise to that other material. The first thing I need to do is seam rip this webbing handle and strap. I'm just going to seam rip back a few inches on either side of the repair so I can put the patch underneath that webbing. So the way this was originally constructed, the handle here is one piece of webbing that's folded to make a handle and continues all the way across this panel. And then there's another piece of webbing that just gets sewn underneath the box X's here. I guess to give the illusion that there's a continuous piece of webbing, but it's just here under the handle. And since the patch I'm going to make is going to cover this, I'm going to take this webbing off just so that I don't have the additional bulk to try to work around and sew through and stuff. This is kind of cool webbing. It's red on one side and black on the other. So in order to cover the holes, I'm going to have to make a patch that extends onto this panel that's closer to the zipper. I guess this is looking at the bag this way, it's the upper panel. So I'm going to have to come past the holes this way, across this way, above this seam, and then back down. I'm just going to make a rectangle big enough to cover that entire area. Before I put the patch on the outside, I made some small patches to cover the holes on the inside. And I just made these about 4 inches by 4 inches, and I'm not folding the edges under or anything. This stuff doesn't fray, and I'm not worried too much about the appearance, especially on the inside. I'm just trying to make this functional. So what I did on the first one, hi. Some people mentioned in the last video that Bobbin here didn't make an appearance, but he's back, right? Anyway, so in order to sew this patch on the inside, I first used this product called Liquid Stitch. It goes by a couple of names, I think, but anyway, it's a glue for fabric. It doesn't work super great on the materials that I'm using here, but it's enough to kind of hold it in place while I sew it. Next, I took some rough measurements for the exterior patch. For the exterior patch, I did not want to have any raw edges, so I used double-sided basting tape to fold about 1/4 of an inch on each edge. I used more double-sided basting tape to secure the piece to the exterior of the bag before sewing it down. And then I carefully positioned the bag on the machine to sew the patch in place. Before sewing the webbing down and replicating the box X stitches, I stopped to check my bobbin to make sure it had enough thread in it. It's not really a big deal to have to change thread in the middle of a box X, but it doesn't give the clean look that I was going for. If you're new to doing box X stitches, I'll put a card in the corner that you can click on to watch a video about it. So there you have it, a completed repair. I started this video with the idea, as I said at the intro, that I wanted to talk about the importance of function over form, meaning that, you know, I needed to make a repair to this bag that was functional and it didn't necessarily matter how it looked, but it actually turned out pretty good. I'm quite happy with how it looks. I think an astute observer would be able to figure out that this has been patched, but they would probably think that it was patched nicely, so I can live with that. By the way, I started off this video wearing my shirt from Alexander Dyer. It would be amazing to me if you're watching my channel and don't know who he is, but if you don't, then go check out his YouTube channel. I'll put a link below. Great sewing stuff. You should definitely know him if you don't. I had to change shirts because I walked outside and it's June in Florida, so within 10 seconds I was covered in sweat, so I had to change shirts. If you like this shirt, which by the way is this machine, I have a Teespring shelf below here. You can check out some of the merch I have. It helps me a lot if you support the channel by purchasing merch from me, so please do. Anyway, I hope this video gives you some ideas to think about when contemplating repairing a piece of equipment with your sewing machine. If you have any questions or ideas or other comments, post them in the comments section below. If you like this video, clicking on the thumbs up button actually really helps me a lot. I appreciate it. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh, hey, I have a second channel where I do some other stuff that isn't sewing related. If you have any interest in learning about stand-up paddleboarding or ultramarathon running or snorkeling, freediving and stuff, I'm doing more stuff over there, so I'll put a link in the description if you want to check it out. Thanks.